There is a place once thought untouchable, the frozen realm of Antarctica. Yet few know it is becoming the newest destination for luxury cruises, commercial flights, and even famous DJs. Why is the world suddenly flocking to the coldest continent on Earth? And could this travel boom be hiding a danger we are not ready to face? Chapter 1: Antarctica. The frozen legend and the hidden truths. Antarctica. The very word feels heavy, almost mythical. For most of us, it is not a place on a map, it is a symbol. A land at the bottom of the earth, wrapped in silence, covered in endless ice, and untouched by the chaos of our everyday world. But how much do we really know about this continent? And what is hidden behind its frozen mask? Antarctica is unlike any other place on Earth. It does not belong to a country, and no one can claim it as their own. Instead, it is protected by the Antarctic Treaty, signed in 1959, which declared that the continent should be used only for peace and science. That alone makes it unique. While the rest of the world is divided by borders and politics, Antarctica exists as a shared land and international outpost for research and discovery. But there is another truth. For decades, our image of Antarctica has been shaped by misconceptions. Many people still see it as a small, faraway island, tucked away at the bottom of world maps. Yet the reality is very different. Antarctica is the fifth largest continent, bigger than Europe, bigger than Australia, and almost the size of South America. Its scale is staggering. If you were to place it over North America, it would cover almost the entire United States and beyond. The white patch you see at the edge of a globe is not a tiny corner of the planet, it is one of its largest and most mysterious realms. Then comes the climate. Most people imagine Antarctica as a land of endless blizzards and deadly cold, which is true but not the whole truth. Temperatures in the heart of the continent can drop to -80 degrees Celsius, colder than any other place on Earth. Yet along its coasts, in the short summer season, conditions can soften. There are even spots where moss and small plants cling to life. The ice is not uniform. It hides lakes, mountains, and valleys beneath. Antarctica is less of a flat, frozen sheet, and more of a secret landscape buried under kilometers of ice. And this ice, it tells stories, layers upon layers, stretching back millions of years. Scientists drill deep into it to study tiny air bubbles trapped inside, each bubble a time capsule of Earth's ancient atmosphere. These ice cores reveal how our planet's climate has changed over millennia, and they warn us of the changes yet to come. Antarctica is not just frozen land, it is an archive of Earth itself, a living record we cannot afford to lose. This is the side of Antarctica that most of the world never sees. Behind the empty whiteness lies a continent that is alive with meaning. It is a stage for science, a mirror for the past, and perhaps a warning for the future. Yet for most of human history, it remained out of reach. Harsh weather, remote distance, and thick layers of ice kept it hidden, almost sacred. Explorers risked their lives to reach it. Nations invested heavily just to build research stations. Ordinary people could only imagine what it might look like, but something is changing. Antarctica, once the forbidden land, is slowly opening its gates. More people are visiting than ever before, not as scientists or explorers, but as tourists. Cruises, luxury flights, and adventure tours are bringing thousands of visitors each year to the icy south. What was once considered a place only for the bold and the brave is now being added to travel lists. And that is where the mystery begins. Why now? Why, after centuries of distance and danger, is Antarctica becoming accessible? Is it just because technology has made travel easier, or is there a deeper story? Are we witnessing the start of a new era for Antarctica, an era where human curiosity collides with one of Earth's last untouched frontiers? Before we dive into that, we need to understand the foundation. Because to see where we are heading, we must first see what Antarctica has always been. It is not simply a cold place at the edge of the map. It is a continent of paradoxes. It is at once empty and full, silent yet speaking through its ice, remote but central to the story of our planet. The frozen legend of Antarctica has always been about distance from warmth, from life, from the rest of the world. But today, that distance is shrinking. Planes can cross it. Ships can glide along its coasts. Social media can broadcast it in real time. And as the barrier falls, the secrets beneath the ice are closer than ever to being touched by human hands. In this chapter, we have taken the first step, uncovering the truth about Antarctica's size, its treaty, its climate, and its hidden importance. But this is only the beginning. In the next chapter, we will step into a story that may surprise you. The sudden explosion of Antarctic tourism. TikTok videos, Instagram posts, cruise ships, and even famous DJs are turning this frozen desert into a stage. But behind the spectacle lies a question that grows darker the closer we look. Is this boom just a passing trend or the start of a transformation that could change Antarctica forever? Chapter 2: The Antarctic Travel Boom. When TikTok and Instagram put ice on the map for centuries, Antarctica was more myth than destination. It was the end of the world, a place only explorers and scientists could dream of reaching. But now, something extraordinary is happening. The most remote continent on Earth has suddenly become the latest obsession for travelers, influencers, and even celebrities. Antarctica is going viral. Luxury cruises glide through icy waters once thought impossible to navigate. Commercial aircraft, including Boeing Dreamliners, now touch down on icy runways, carrying tourists instead of cargo or researchers. Adventure companies sell packages that promise you the chance to kayak beside glaciers, climb frozen ridges, and step onto land few humans have ever seen. This is not the Antarctica of old maps and whispered legends. This is a new Antarctica polished, packaged, and sold as the ultimate bucket list experience. From forbidden to fashionable, it may sound unbelievable, but Antarctica is now part of the travel industry, and not just in a small way. In recent years, the number of visitors has surged. According to IATO, the International Association of Antarctica Tour Operators, tens of thousands of tourists now arrive every year. The figures show a steady climb, with seasons breaking records one after another. For comparison, in the early 1990s, fewer than 10,000 people managed to visit Antarctica in a year. The continent once reserved for science has been transformed into a Stage 4 travelland. The crowds are only growing. The new icons of Antarctic travel. Part of this boom comes from social media. TikTok and Instagram have turned distant places into instant obsessions, and Antarctica is no exception. Clips of travelers standing against endless white horizons, sliding down icy hills, or holding up penguins in the background have spread like wildfire. The hashtag Antarctica travel has been watched millions of times, and new content appears daily. Even celebrities have joined in. In 2022, DJ Diplo made headlines when he performed at a music event in Antarctica, turning one of the quietest places on Earth into a stage for beats and lights. Viking Cruises and other luxury lines advertise the ultimate journey south, with images that blend adventure, exclusivity, and prestige. Some TikTok users even coined the phrase freestyle adventure Antarctica, framing the continent not as a scientific outpost, but as the next exotic playground. It's a shift that would have been unthinkable only a generation ago. The edge of the world has become an item on people's travel lists, sandwiched between Paris, Bali, and Tokyo. Why now? That is the question at the heart of this chapter. Why, after decades of inaccessibility, is Antarctica suddenly open to the public? Part of the answer lies in technology. Ships are stronger, flights are safer, and gear is more advanced. What was once a deadly gamble has become a manageable risk. But technology alone doesn't explain the timing. Humanity has had the ability to reach Antarctica for years. Why did the floodgates open now? Some point to climate change. As ice melts and weather patterns shift, new routes are becoming available. The changing landscape has made it easier for ships to move along the coasts. Others see it as part of a cultural wave. The rise of social media, the hunger for unique experiences, and the desire to stand out online. In a world where everyone can post pictures from the same beaches, Antarctica offers something different, something rare, but there may also be another layer. As humanity pushes into every corner of the planet, Antarctica remains the last great unknown. Its mystery calls to us. Perhaps the rise of tourism is not only about access or social media, it is about the collective pull of the unknown. People want to touch the last untouched frontier, to say, "I have been there." The double-edged sword, yet this fascination comes with a cost. More people mean more ships, more flights, more waste, and more pressure on fragile ecosystems. Penguins and seals that once lived without human disturbance now find tourists snapping photos nearby. Even the act of walking on the ice leaves traces, small but lasting. Researchers worry that invasive species could be introduced, carried on the soles of boots or in the cracks of ships. The increase in air traffic adds carbon emissions, directly conflicting with the environmental message many tourists claim to embrace. And then there is the cultural cost, turning a land meant for science into a backdrop for selfies. Kyoto and treaty nations have placed strict regulations on tourism, but the question lingers: how much is too much? At what point does curiosity become exploitation? The deeper mystery, beneath all this data and debate, lies something harder to measure. Antarctica has always represented the edge of human reach. It is the last blank space on the map. For centuries, people feared it, admired it, and left it alone. Now, in the span of a few short years, it is becoming familiar. That shift changes more than just travel trends, it changes our relationship with mystery itself. If even Antarctica can be packaged, sold, and consumed, then what mystery remains? What happens when the last great frontier becomes just another Instagram location? There is also a question of intention. Who benefits from this sudden boom? Tour companies, yes. Influencers, yes. But is there something larger at play? The more attention Antarctica receives, the more political and economic weight it carries. Could tourism be the first step toward reshaping how we see and use the continent? For now, the answers are unclear. But the timing, the scale, and the speed of this boom suggest that Antarctica's story is entering a new chapter, one where mystery collides with mass attention. Closing thoughts for this chapter: we began with a continent that was unreachable. Today, it is accessible, fashionable, and even trending. TikTok and Instagram have turned frozen silence into viral sound. Luxury ships and flights have turned an icy desert into a destination. Celebrities have turned its untouched landscape into a stage. And yet, with every visitor, every ship, every viral clip, the question grows louder. Why now? Why is Antarctica suddenly the world's obsession? Is it just technology and social media, or is there something deeper pulling us toward the last frontier? In the next chapter, we will step further into that question, because beneath the tourist smiles and the bright lights, Antarctica still holds secrets science has barely touched. Massive craters, hidden lakes, ancient microbes, all buried under kilometers of ice. And as more people arrive, the line between discovery and disturbance becomes dangerously thin. The boom of today may open the door to mysteries humanity is not yet ready to face. Chapter 3: Beneath the Ice. Secrets awakened by human footsteps. Antarctica looks silent. To the eye, it is endless white snowfields, glaciers, and ridges stretching into the horizon. But beneath that stillness lies a hidden world. The ice is not just frozen water. It is a vault, a shield, and a record of time stretching back millions of years. Every step a human takes here, every ship that anchors, every plane that lands, leaves more than footprints. It creates a disturbance like a crack forming in an ancient mirror. For decades, scientists were the only ones allowed to walk these grounds. Their missions were tightly regulated, focused on research zones carefully protected from interference. But in recent years, these once restricted areas have appeared on tourist itineraries. Travelers pose for photos in landscapes once reserved for science. The very sites where secrets of Earth's past are studied now risk being disrupted by the rhythm of tourism. The fragile balance Antarctica's ecosystems are unlike any others on Earth. Penguins, seals, and birds have adapted to thrive in an environment most life forms cannot endure, but they are also fragile. Even minor changes, a single boat introducing foreign bacteria, a single visitor carrying seeds on their clothing could tip the balance. When humans arrive, they bring more than curiosity. They bring warmth, noise, chemicals, and disruption. A glacier that has stood untouched for millennia now has footprints across its surface. The metaphor is striking. Each journey is like a crack in ice that has held strong for millions of years. The more cracks we create, the more uncertain the future becomes. Tourism companies insist on strict rules, disinfecting boots, keeping distance from wildlife, limiting group sizes. Yet the sheer increase in numbers raises questions. Can regulations truly hold back the weight of human presence when tens of thousands of people arrive each year? Craters hidden beneath the ice. What makes this disruption even more concerning is what lies hidden below. Antarctica's surface conceals mysteries of planetary scale. One of the most striking is a massive impact crater buried deep beneath the ice sheet. Scientists believe it may be the scar of an asteroid strike millions of years ago, an event powerful enough to reshape global climate and perhaps drive extinctions. This crater, hidden under kilometers of ice, is still being studied. Its size and implications remain uncertain. Now imagine the risk of human activity disturbing such ancient structures. A single miscalculation, a single unmonitored expedition, could interfere with delicate measurements and scientific progress. The ice is not just scenery. It is evidence, fragile and irreplaceable. Lake Vostok, a world below another enigma, lies far beneath. Lake Vostok, a body of liquid water sealed under 4 kilometers of ice for perhaps 15 million years. It is one of the largest subglacial lakes on Earth, stretching more than 250 kilometers. For all that time, it has been untouched by sunlight, isolated from the surface. Scientists drilled carefully into Lake Vostok in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, using techniques designed to prevent contamination. Even so, there were fears. Could the introduction of surface bacteria disrupt an ecosystem that has evolved in complete isolation? Could drilling unleash something ancient into the modern world? Now, consider the possibility of tourism expanding toward such sites. While tours do not yet reach Lake Vostok, the pressure to create unique experiences grows every year. How long until companies begin advertising visits to the vicinity of such places? The presence of tourists near fragile zones could complicate or even endanger research efforts designed to unlock secrets carefully guarded for millennia. Microbial life, unknown waiting. The greatest mystery lies not in landscapes or lakes, but in life itself. Antarctica may hold microbial species unknown to science, preserved in ice or water for millions of years. Some may reveal how life can survive extreme conditions, knowledge critical for understanding not only Earth's history, but also the possibility of life on other planets. But there is another possibility, that these microbes, adapted to an environment completely unlike ours, could behave unpredictably if brought into contact with modern ecosystems. It is not science fiction. It is a genuine concern among researchers. A single spore, a single cell awakened after millions of years, could hold properties we are not prepared to face. Tourism increases the chance of accidental contamination in both directions. Surface organisms entering sealed environments, or hidden organisms being disturbed. Each new footprint, each new drill, each new landing becomes more than exploration. It becomes a gamble. The unasked question, so we return to the mysterious angle. Why now? Why has the door to Antarctica opened so widely, just as we are beginning to uncover its most profound secrets? Some say it is coincidence, a mix of technology, wealth, and social media attention. Others suspect that the boom in interest is not entirely organic. After all, Antarctica is not only a wilderness, it is a continent of resources. from fresh water locked in ice to untapped minerals buried below. Could the fascination with tourism be, in part, a subtle way to normalize human presence, preparing the ground for larger ventures in the future? Whether or not that is true, one fact is certain. The more people arrive, the more likely we are to unlock doors that cannot be closed again. A tourist may not realize it, but their journey is part of a much larger story, one that may shape the destiny of science, the environment, and even human survival. Every crack matters. The metaphor of the crack in the ice remains powerful. Ice is strong, but it is also delicate. A single fracture can grow, spreading silently until the whole structure shifts. Antarctica's secrets are much the same. They have endured untouched for ages, but they are not unbreakable. Each cruise ship, each flight, each photo taken near a research zone adds weight. Each presence is another fracture line, and though one by itself may seem small, together they form a pattern, spreading network of cracks across the surface of the unknown. Closing thoughts: beneath Antarctica's ice lies a library of Earth's history, a record of climate impacts, evolution, and survival. It also holds doors to mysteries that may stretch beyond anything we are ready to comprehend, from craters that tell of ancient cataclysms, to lakes sealed for millions of years, to microbes that may answer the question of life itself. This continent is not empty. It is alive with secrets, and yet, we walk upon it. We step onto its surface for adventure, for photos, for the thrill of saying I have been there. Each of those steps is a choice, one that may awaken things long asleep. The question we must ask is not whether tourism will grow, it already has. The question is whether humanity is prepared for what might awaken beneath the ice. Because some doors, once opened, cannot be closed. Chapter 4. The inevitable cost. When tourism turns Antarctica into a stage, Antarctica was never meant to be a stage. For decades, it stood as the last untouched frontier, a place defined by silence and science. But today, the white expanse is slowly shifting into something else: an exclusive destination, a backdrop for photos, and a playground for those wealthy enough to reach it. The transformation raises a chilling question. Are we exchanging one of Earth's last great sanctuaries for fleeting moments of spectacle? The carbon shadow. Every trip to Antarctica carries a hidden cost, one that cannot be seen in the breathtaking photographs or glossy travel brochures. Planes burn fuel. Ships release exhaust. Luxury cruises that promised guests the adventure of a lifetime also release massive amounts of carbon dioxide into the very atmosphere that Antarctica's ice is meant to help us study. A single voyage of a cruise ship to Antarctica can emit thousands of tons of greenhouse gases. These emissions contribute to the warming that melts the very ice tourists travel so far to admire. It is a paradox: people journey to witness the purity of Antarctica, and in doing so, accelerate the changes that threaten it. But emissions are only one part of the story. Ships also risk spilling fuel, discharging waste, and disturbing marine ecosystems. Even carefully managed, the environmental footprint is unavoidable. The Antarctic Treaty and IAATO, the International Association of Antarctica Tour Operators, impose strict guidelines. Yet the scale of tourism makes compliance harder every year. Rules can be written, but every additional passenger means another burden carried by the continent's fragile environment. Invasive shadows. The risks do not stop with carbon. Tourism also brings the danger of invasive species: plants, insects, or microbes hitching a ride on clothing, equipment, or cargo. Antarctica's ecosystem is so isolated that even the smallest intruder can cause irreparable harm. Imagine a seed stuck in the sole of a boot, carried from South America to an Antarctic shore. That seed, once it touches the ground, could sprout in a place where no such plant has existed before. Even one small change in the food chain could alter the delicate balance that has existed for millennia. The danger is not hypothetical. Researchers have already identified non-native grasses and tiny invertebrates in areas frequented by tourists. Each new discovery is a reminder. The more people come, the greater the risk that Antarctica's pristine ecosystems will never be the same again. From sanctuary to spectacle, perhaps the most profound shift, however, is not environmental but cultural. Antarctica has long been viewed as a sanctuary for science, a place where nations set aside politics in favor of discovery. But with tourism, its image is changing. Now, Antarctica is marketed as a luxury brand. Cruise lines sell it as the final frontier for elite travelers. Social media influencers broadcast their presence on the ice, turning one of the world's last wild landscapes into a backdrop for likes and followers. What was once sacred space has become a status symbol. This cultural transformation risks eroding the very values that made Antarctica special. It is no longer primarily about what can be learned, but about what can be displayed. The continent shifts from being a laboratory of the Earth to a stage where human curiosity, wealth, and vanity take center spotlight. A fragile alliance behind the scenes. Tensions are rising. IOTO, the self-regulating body of tour operators, insists that strict standards are followed. Tourists are briefed on rules. Groups are limited in size, and landing sites are rotated to minimize impact. Yet commercial operators are driven by profit. The more people want to see Antarctica, the greater the pressure to expand tours, build bigger ships, and offer more exclusive experiences. The Antarctic Treaty Nations, meanwhile, struggled to keep up. The treaty was designed to prevent militarization and preserve Antarctica for peaceful purposes. It was not written with Instagram or TikTok in mind. Today, policymakers find themselves caught between preserving a fragile ecosystem and responding to the reality of a booming tourist industry. Conflicts are already emerging. Some researchers argue that tourism should be tightly limited, restricted to protect scientific zones. Others warn that too much regulation may drive tours underground, outside IAA2's voluntary framework, leaving Antarctica exposed to even greater risks. The balance between cooperation, enforcement, and commercial pressure is delicate and becoming more unstable with each passing season. The mystery of timing here lies the mystery. Why now? Why has Antarctica become the stage of our era? For centuries, it resisted human intrusion. Suddenly, in just a few decades, it has gone viral. The easy answer is technology. Stronger ships, cheaper flights, and social media hype make Antarctica more accessible than ever. But is there more at play? Some suggest the surge in tourism acts as a distraction. By framing Antarctica as an adventure for the wealthy, public attention drifts away from its scientific significance. Others believe the boom is softening public resistance to a deeper shift in era when resource extraction, not tourism, becomes the dominant human activity on the continent. No one can say for sure, but what we can say is this: the timing is not random. Just as Antarctica reveals more secret impact craters, subglacial lakes, ancient microbes, it also becomes flooded with human footsteps. The overlap is striking, as though curiosity and opportunity have collided in ways too precise to ignore. The cost of curiosity must then ask, what is the true cost of our curiosity? Is it measured only in fuel emissions, in invasive species, in the erosion of cultural values? Or is it something larger, something we cannot yet measure? When a continent shifts from being a sanctuary to a stage, the change is not easily reversed. Once Antarctica becomes associated with luxury travel, viral videos, and global tourism, it may never fully return to its original role. The purity of its image, the idea of Antarctica as the untouched, the forbidden, the sacred is already fading. And when that image fades, so too does our collective respect. Without respect, protection weakens. Without protection, the last frontier becomes just another destination. Closing thoughts. Antarctica is more than a destination. It is a mirror. It reflects the choices we make as a species, whether we value knowledge over spectacle, preservation over profit, and silence over applause. The inevitable cost of tourism is not just physical damage, though that damage is real. It is also the loss of mystery, the erosion of awe. Antarctica has endured for millions of years without us. Now, in a matter of decades, it risks becoming another stop on the global stage. So we must ask ourselves, what are we truly trading? A continent that holds Earth's deepest secrets, or the fleeting satisfaction of saying, "I was there"? Because once we turn Antarctica fully into a stage, we may discover that the price was far higher than we imagined. Chapter 5. The Future of Antarctica. Preserve or commercialize. Antarctica has always felt timeless. Its ice sheets have stood for millions of years, its mountains untouched, its lakes sealed away in darkness. But the truth is simple. This frozen continent now stands at a crossroads. What happens in the next 10, 20, or 30 years will decide whether Antarctica remains a sanctuary of science or transforms into something entirely different. The road ahead. When we think about the future of Antarctica, two paths unfold before us. One leads toward preservation, where strict protection keeps Antarctica as the last fortress of global science. The other veers toward commercialization, where the continent becomes a playground, a marketplace, perhaps even a resource hub. The outcome will not arrive suddenly. It will build step by step, shaped by choices we make today. Choices about tourism, treaties, science, and global priorities. And as the planet warms, the urgency grows sharper. Antarctica's fate is no longer just about itself, it is about all of us. Scenario 1. The frozen Las Vegas. Imagine Antarctica transformed into an extreme version of the world we know today. Luxury hotels dot the coastline, offering panoramic views of glaciers. Charter flights land daily, bringing tourists eager for the ultimate bucket list destination. Cruise ships sail in fleets, with thousands of passengers disembarking onto fragile shores. Even entertainment arrives. Concerts on the ice, viral influencer tours, perhaps even casinos that market themselves as the world's coldest getaway. It sounds exaggerated, but the seeds of this future already exist. Luxury tour companies are expanding. Demand is rising. Social media fuels the desire for ever more spectacular experiences. What was once unimaginably a continent, treated as an exclusive resort, no longer feels impossible. But the cost of this scenario is devastating. The ice, already thinning from climate change, would be further stressed by emissions. Pollution from ships and planes would accelerate warming. Invasive species would spread. The pristine silence of Antarctica would be drowned out by engines, speakers, and human presence. And with every expansion, the cultural meaning of Antarctica would shift. It would cease to be a symbol of untouched wilderness and become instead another arena for profit and entertainment. The frozen Las Vegas future is not about survival, it is about spectacle. And once spectacle takes root, it is hard to erase. Scenario 2. The fortress of science. Now imagine a different future. Antarctica remains protected by strict international agreements. Tourism is capped, perhaps even restricted to virtual tours broadcast worldwide. The continent is seen not as a place for luxury, but as a shared global laboratory. In this scenario, research thrives. Scientists continue to study ice cores, unlocking the story of Earth's climate across millions of years. Subglacial lakes are explored with careful precision, using sterilized probes designed to prevent contamination. Discoveries about microbial life reshape our understanding of survival, not just on Earth, but across the universe. Antarctica in this future is a beacon of cooperation. While other parts of the world are divided by borders and conflicts, here, nations agree to protect something larger than themselves. It becomes a living symbol of what humanity can achieve when we put aside profit for knowledge. But this scenario is fragile. It requires discipline, unity, and sacrifice. It asks us to resist the temptation of commercialization, even when the rewards seem irresistible. It demands that we see Antarctica not as a resource to exploit, but as a trust to guard. Scientists' warnings: those who study Antarctica are clear. We are on borrowed time. Ice cores hold irreplaceable climate records, telling us how Earth has shifted from ice ages to warm periods and back again. If those records are lost, our ability to understand the planet's future collapses with them. Wildlife faces the same risk. Penguins, seals, and krill species that form the base of Antarctica's ecosystems depend on delicate balances of ice and sea. Disturb those balances, and entire populations could collapse, and with them, global food chains may suffer. Even more alarming are the unknowns. Subglacial lakes like Vostok may hold microbial life forms unlike anything we know. Disturbing them could reveal secrets of evolution or unleash risks we cannot predict. Once those doors are opened, they cannot be closed. The treaty question. The Antarctic Treaty, signed in 1959, has preserved peace and science for more than 60 years. But it was never built to handle mass tourism, social media, or commercial expansion on a global scale. Some experts believe the treaty must be rewritten or strengthened to adapt to modern challenges. Others fear that reopening it could trigger conflicts as nations compete for influence and potential resources. After all, Antarctica is rich not only in ice and life, but also in untapped reserves of minerals and fresh water. The coming decades will test whether international cooperation can hold firm, or whether commercial interests will push the treaty to its breaking point. The mystery of choice. So here we are, standing at the edge of decision. Will Antarctica remain a fortress of science, a symbol of global unity, or will it slide into the glittering trap of commercialization, where profit outweighs preservation? Perhaps the deeper question is not what Antarctica will become, but what we will reveal about ourselves through our choices. Do we value knowledge over spectacle? Do we guard silence, or do we crave applause? Do we see Antarctica as sacred ground, or simply another backdrop for human ambition? The answer will echo far beyond the ice. It will reveal who we are as a species, and what we choose to protect or destroy. Closing reflections. Antarctica is more than a continent. It is a mirror. In it, we see the best and worst of humanity. Our hunger for discovery, our thirst for spectacle, our capacity for unity, and our weakness for greed. The future is not written. It stretches ahead in two directions, one leading toward preservation, the other toward exploitation. Which we choose depends on the decisions of governments, companies, scientists, and ordinary people. Perhaps, in the end, Antarctica does not need us at all. The ice will outlast us in some form, even if it melts and reshapes the seas. What is truly at stake is not the continent's survival but our own. Because if we destroy the last untouched frontier, what does that say about our ability to preserve anything else? And so we close with a mystery, one that lingers like a whisper across the frozen winds. Perhaps we are stepping onto a land that holds not only ice, but the deepest secrets of humanity's past and future. And the question is, should we disturb them? If this story made you see Antarctica with new eyes, share your thoughts in the comments. Should we open Antarctica to mass tourism? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with Echoes from Tomorrow for the mysteries yet to come.